What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back today with another video. If you guys are new here, my name is Caden Parker. I make videos every single day. And before I get into what today's video is about, I actually want to just remind you guys that I'm doing a giveaway with Crep Protect Cure Kit and a pop socket of my own, my custom pop sockets, and I'm still looking for one more thing. But that is happening once we reach 1,000 subscribers, and we are really close with the current count of 908. Anyways, I'm sure you guys are curious to what I'm going to talk about with the thumbnail and everything. So yeah, let's get right into that. Okay, so 3 years, 4 months, and 22 days ago exactly, I got in a really bad car accident that happened kind of out of nowhere. Okay, so I'm basically gonna tell the story of how this car accident happened and why I chose the title of this video for what it is. On May 30th, 2014, I got in a really bad head-on collision with a drunk driver. He had another passenger in his car, and my girlfriend at the time was with me in my car. Her name is Ashley. And yeah, we got in a really bad accident. So I'm going to explain everything prior to it and then, of course, the actual accident. Okay, so me and my girlfriend at the time were hanging out. And we were hanging out at my house, and it was the last day of school. And she lived in a different town about 40 miles away called Candu. And I went to go pick her up after school, and we drove back to my house here, and we hung out for a while. And also a bunch of my buddies were here too. I can't really remember what happened. It was just getting later. It was about right when the sun was about to set, but not quite yet. And then I remember that she told me her mom texted her and she had to go home. She wasn't going back to Candu because that was too far of a drive, so I was just going to take her out to her grandparents' camper, which is at a campground called East Bay, and that was about like a 15-minute drive from my house, so however many miles. I don't really remember. So basically, it was just me, her, my sister, and my friends all here, and my mom wasn't home. So I asked my friends if they could stay and watch my sister. Actually, my other friends had left, and it was just my friend Jason here. So I asked him if he could watch my sister Matt, and he was like, yeah, sure. So then I ran out to go drop her off. So yeah, we were driving, and then the turn to get to the campground is right by the rest area for Devil's Lake. So we turn there, and it's a gravel road, all right? So we take a turn, and we're driving down this road. It's a pretty long drive. It was super weird because it was like super casual because I just found out one of my other friends was pregnant. She was gonna have a kid. And then every time we got in my car, it's just a habit of mine. My mom's always taught me since a little kid to put my seatbelt on, like no matter what the circumstances are. I actually remember getting pulled over when I was younger, and she got in trouble because I didn't have a seatbelt on because I refused to put it on. So I looked over at her, and she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. And me, obviously being trained since I was a little kid to put mine on, I automatically told her that she really needs to put her seatbelt on. And she did. She listened to me. She put her seatbelt on. And at the time, we were just getting off of pavement onto a gravel road. Me, I don't know why, ever since I got my permit, I've always been scared to drive on gravel. I hate the feeling of it not having that much control, and I've always just been really paranoid about driving on gravel. So getting onto that gravel road was already kind of like sketchy enough for me, so I wasn't really, like, I don't want to say I wasn't confident, but I wasn't, you know, I wasn't like feeling the same as I would if I was driving on like the highway or something. So we get on this gravel road and we're driving, we're just talking mid-conversation, and then there's this hill, right? So we're driving and then we just start to slowly rise up on top of this hill. And then we go back down, and then it kind of gets level again. And it was it was getting really foggy out. It had rained earlier in the day, and it was getting really foggy out. So it was kind of like, you could kind of see what was in front of you, but kind of not. Like, it was just that really misty look. And then all of a sudden, we see two headlights. And you know when you're like a really far distance from a car and you can still see their headlights, they look like, from a distance, they look like they're head on with your car. But you generally, when you get closer, they tend to be not head on. So that's what happened. We saw this car and we were like, oh, they're super far away. It looks like they're head on, but they're not. She even mentioned that. She was like, is that car like coming head on for us? And I was like, no, it's just because it's from a distance and it looks like it would be, but it's not, if that makes sense. And the speed limit on the gravel road, if I remember correctly, was about 45, and we were going, I'd say 40 to 45, one of the two. And we're getting closer to this car. We're getting closer and closer and closer as the minutes go by. And I'm slowly starting to realize that, like, I see in the distance, my eyesight wasn't too good at the time, but I was able to see that the driver was swerving back and forth. Like, I could see him slowly, like, it wasn't too bad at first, and then it started to get really bad, like the closer and closer we got. So we started to get closer and closer, and like immediately, the second I saw him starting to swerve, it was like I didn't even know, it was just like a natural instinct to start slowing down. So I'm slowing down, I'm slowing down, I'm slowing down. I'm like, probably at this time, I'm probably at like 35. So we're getting closer and closer and closer. And then it hits me that this dude is drunk or something's going on. And he's swerving. And he's going like back and forth from his lane to our lane, swerving, drifting on the gravel. And I like start tensing up, like reaching back on the steering wheel. And I like saw Ashley out of the corner of my eye. And she was like kind of like gasping in. And the next thing I know, all I hear her scream is, "Oh my God." And what happened was the car drifted, like legit was sideways, coming straight onto us. He's completely sideways, and we were gonna hit no matter what. But from when I first saw it, I thought we were just gonna T-bone him because he was really sideways. But at literally the last second, he went right back forward, and boom! It was just a head-on collision. It was super sudden. He was going at least 50. I could definitely tell he was going over the speed limit just because of the way he approached us. We hit head on. The airbags instantly went off. That it was like a flash of white just shot into my eye. And the first thing I do is like, "Ashley, are you okay? Can you hear me?" She's like, "Yes, I can hear you." So we get out of the car, we open the doors. I'm standing out there looking at the other car. Ashley got out of the car and just started running for a couple feet. I don't know why, she just started running and she was bursting in tears. Obviously, it was a really emotional experience. I'm like starting to come back to my senses, and I see the other driver, and I see that the driver's fine, but the windshield of that car was cracked on the passenger side because the passenger's head actually went into the window because none of them were wearing seatbelts. They were both very drunk, under the influence I should say, of alcohol. So I walked up to him and I was like, "Sir, are you okay?" Blah, blah, blah. And then I noticed the guy's head was just gushing blood, and it was not, he was bald. So it was like blood all over his head, and it just would not stop. It just kept rushing down his face. And I was like, "Oh my God." So I got my phone, I called 911, I told them my location where, I didn't know exactly where we were at, I just told them the road we were on, so they rushed to the scene. I told them about the guy that split his head, tell him to, yeah, get out and lay on the hood of the car. I don't know why, but so I told him to do that, and he didn't really feel like moving, so he just lay there, and I was like, okay, whatever. So the cops showed up, firemen showed up, ambulance showed up. It was a really hectic experience. My mom and grandma and her friend were actually like 5 minutes away from there. They were the closest to the scene. So I tried calling my mom, she wouldn't answer. I called Brandon, which is my mom's boyfriend. He answered, and I told him, "Brandon, we were just in a really bad accident. Can you call my mom? She will not answer." And I don't know who else to call. So then he got a hold of my mom called me, and she was actually, funny enough, when I first got on the phone with her, she was mad at me. She was like, "What did you do? Is the car okay? What'd you do? What'd you do?" And then she came over to the accident because I told her where we were at, and she said she heard all the ambulances and the cops and, you know, fire truck go by, and yeah, so they kind of knew where we were at. I honestly thought I was going to die, which is what the title's about. And oh, actually they arrested the other man at the scene as well. But then they knew that it was his fault or whatever. And then they arrested him on spot, blah, blah, blah. And then, so after it all happened, I looked at my car, and I'll put a picture of my car on the screen now. So that's what my car looks like. And the back seat got pushed up to the front seat. It just kind of like pushed up against the front seat, and you could definitely tell when you would sit in the chair. But okay, so after all this happened, I go up and I'm talking to one of the firemen. I asked him, like, how much worse could this have been? And he said, well, if you two were not wearing your seatbelt, you'd both be dead right now, because, you know, obviously you would have flown out of the car. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But here's the other thing that I didn't talk about. So when we were pulling up, I like knew we were gonna get an accident, right? It's funny because I knew it was gonna happen. So I looked on the side. I was gonna actually try to pull into the ditch, but what I didn't really realize was the ditch was about 4 feet above like the actual grass, and it was kind of like an incline down, like a really steep incline. And I told the fireman that. I told him, like, I was like, I saw the ditch on the side, and I was actually thinking of pulling in and turning off and going into the ditch just to avoid it. And he said, well, it's a good thing you didn't do that, because if you would have done that, you would have rolled the car, and probably it would have been a lot worse, and we probably could have died in that too. So it was just crazy to hear all that, and that just to like realize how much worse it could have been. Like, honestly, I was thankful to be alive. I know she was thankful to be alive. You never know if you're just gonna wake up the next morning, you know? Like, it's just something not to take for granted. Fortunately, my car was totaled. I had a 2005 Pontiac Grand Am. It's my first ever car, and it was my all-time favorite car. I had so many memories in that car, and it was just really unfortunate that it had to get totaled, but everything happens for a reason, and I'd rather the car gets killed than I do. So at the end of the day, everybody wins. It's just kind of unfortunate, but so basically why I made this video is just to tell you guys, I just want to tell you, I know it might sound stupid, but seriously, really wear your seatbelt. It really does make a difference. And to never take your life for granted, because you never know when it will be the last time you see somebody, or will be the last time, you know, that you breathe. I mean, you just really don't know. So anyways, guys, that's my story of how I almost died in a car accident. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm about to get ready to leave the Grand Forks with my cousin Tanner, and Jalen's actually coming with us this time. So it should be pretty fun. We have a bunch of stuff planned, and we're going to that gymnastics place, so you guys can look forward to that tomorrow. I am finally back on my schedule, so I should be uploading every day at 4 p.m. except for Saturdays. Saturdays will be at noon if I can. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to stay positive, keep chasing your dreams you may have, and remember to wear your seatbelt. All right, thanks guys. Peace.